Good morning, everybody. Good morning, chair spots. I think we can go ahead and get the meeting started because we do have a quorum. Um, and thank you all for being here. We have a few people in the room and people online. I'll turn it over to you, chair spots, to get us rolling.
Good morning, everybody. I'm calling the meeting to order at 9:32 today, and we do have a quorum. Now for introductions, I would like to start with those in the room, please.
Thank you. I'll start with myself. I'm Melissa Martz. I'm with the Pikes Peak Area Agency on Aging, and I'll head to my.
Mary Wagner, Cripple Creek Transit.
Aaron Sombrero, Silver Key Senior Services.
Lisa Gagnon, Transit Planner, PPACG, and happy Earth Day.
And we have Jared helping us with our equipment in the back. And I'll turn it back over to you, Chair Spots, to do the online intros.
Start with everybody online. I'm going to ask those. I'm going to speak with those I see on the line, starting with, I don't have anybody's name, but I got some initials that work. JV would be the first person.
Mr. Chair, I believe that's me, Jared Werner. I'm in the room running the tech.
Okay, and then SC.
Seth Chapin, and with Silver Key Senior Services.
And then EE.
Hi, this is Eric Esch from Invita. I am the Transportation and Operations Director.
And then SE.
Hi, this is Summer Earthsong, Transit Supervisor with the City of Fountain Municipal Transit.
Then I believe there's another one that doesn't have any initials. It's probably somebody with coming through with the phone.
I believe that's me. This is Sagan Faulkner at Invita.
Thank you. Then Edgar Morales is our public comment. And then KT would be next.
Hello, this is Kevin Teagarden, Senior Planning Analyst with Mountain Metro Transit.
And then Deanna.
Good morning, Deanna Rumsey, Member at Large.
And did I miss anybody?
Chair Spots, I think you got everyone.
We'll move down to the next, which is agenda approval. We now get approval for the agenda. Do we have a motion for approve?
This is Aaron Sombrero, motion to approve.
Can I get a second?
Deanna Rumsey, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that motion will carry. Thank you, guys. The next agenda item is consent items. We will now move to approve the minutes from last month's meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
Aaron Sombrero, motion to approve.
Thank you. And can I get a second, please?
Deanna Rumsey, second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, thank you, guys. The next thing on our agenda would be, a public comment. Jared, do we have anybody for public comment?
I do. I wanna. So,
You-
so hello, my name is Edgar Morales, and I'm the user of specialized transportation in the city of Colorado Springs. I have cerebral palsy that affects my left side, and I can't drive due to focal seizures. I utilize specialized transportation to get to and from work. People panic when their car breaks down and they can't use it for 1 or 2 days. But imagine if you couldn't use it or drive for the rest of your life. When I first started using specialized transportation, the provider was unreliable and difficult to schedule, even with restriction service. I would sometimes not be picked up. I could be on the phone for hours trying to reach anybody from the provider's office. If I did get picked up, the bus will be late. I will also be picked up late going home well after my office is closed. Because of this, I'm still anxious to use specialized transportation because my experiences. Currently, transportation is more reliable, easier to schedule rides, and I don't get left behind anymore. And I know they're coming. This is important to me because I'm able to maintain work and be more independent. Without reliable transportation, it puts my job at risk as well as my independence. Specialized transit is crucial for people with disabilities for several reasons. It ensures that individuals with disabilities can access transportation that accommodates their specific needs. Specialized transit also allows people with disabilities to travel independently to the community activities, medical appointments, and social events, making their community accessible. My prior experience with specialized transit was poor, but it's better now, but improvements can be made. I know it is a ride-share system, and I don't expect them to take me directly home, but sometimes I'm in the bus for between an hour and a half and 2 hours, making my days very long. A solution of this may be more buses, but I'm very grateful for specialized transit and the drivers because the drivers are amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Edgar.
And Mr. Chair, this is Jared. I'll ask anyone else who'd like to provide public comment to use the raise hand function, but I believe everyone who's on the call and in the room are either staff or members of the MCC. And seeing no hands raised, Mr. Chair, I think we can proceed to the next item at your discretion.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is action items. Doesn't look like we have any today. We'll just move down to the next one, which is membership appointment. Looks like we have any of those again today. So we'll move down to the next agenda. Training, information sharing, and coordination opportunities. Do you have any sharing information or training you'd like to share?
If I could, this is Kevin Teagarden with Mountain Metro Transit. If I could share some information.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to announce a reminder that we do have the spring 2025 service change. It actually starts April 27th, so right around the corner. So it's nearly completed. With that is the increased frequency for Route 4. It's going from 60 minutes to 30 minutes for the weekday daytime frequency. So that's right around the corner, starts April 27th. Thank you.
Thank you.
And chair spots, we do have Jared, who's going to give us an update on Colorado legislative and budget topics. So we'll have him jump on and then we can circle back to updates from the rest of our providers in the room, if that's okay with you.
Sounds good.
right, thank you.
Alrighty, good morning, everyone. My name is Jared Verner, Public Policy and Communications Manager at PPACG. I apologize, I'm doing a couple different things here at once. Just as we go through, but I want to bring your attention to page 6 in the packet. That was shared ahead of time. I'm trying to, again, do a couple things here at the computer. But I want to point a couple bills out for your attention, as well as provide an update on the state budget situation. So the first bill of note is House Bill 25-1007. This is called Paratransit Services. This was signed by the governor on April 17th. And what this bill does requires transit agencies to establish a plan by January 1 of 2026, so upcoming January, to report on the implementation of that plan on how agencies communicate information, provide services during an emergency. And then report on the implementation of the plan by September 1 of next year. The language in this bill is incredibly vague, and I think it's intentionally so. So it does define transit agency in this situation as any political subdivision or nonprofit corporation that provides paratransit services. We still got 15 days left to the general session. After that point, PPACG is probably going to look at what makes sense in terms of assisting paratransit services and developing those plans. I'm not going to volunteer anybody, but I know some providers in the region already do something like this with Pikes Peak Regional Office of Emergency Management. And so we might be having on their shoulders a little bit for assistance and help out what their plan looks like. But that's the bill that is most likely going to be a big impact to this committee. I just know that I've already been signed into law. The next three bills I want to mention, they have transit or some sort of title that might be of interest, but these are ones I don't think are probably of huge interest or of impact to members of this committee. The first I'm going to mention is Senate Bill 25-161's title transit reform. Despite the title, it is focused only on the regional transportation district in Denver. So that is not a bill that we believe would have any impact on our region. That's currently waiting what's called second reading in the Senate. So after it goes through the Senate, it will still have to go through the House process. Again, there's only 2 weeks left in the session for that to happen. The next bill is House Bill 25-1290. This one might have a little more impact for some providers. This is titled Transit Worker Assault and Funding for Transit, or Funding for Training. This has already gone through the House. It is currently waiting third reading in the Senate, which would be third reading and final passage. There were amendments made in the Senate, so it would have to go to the House for the concurrence or conference committee. But what this bill would do is create a criminal offense for anyone assaulting a transit worker, and the definition of transit worker is incredibly broad. I think intentionally so. It doesn't just look at those who are drivers, but it looks at those who are mechanics, those who are cleaning. Basically, if you work in any kind of transit agency role, not just drivers, you will qualify and not be a criminal offense as well. Bill also provides some training, but that would be for small police officers, which primarily only impacts RTD since they deal with small police force. And the third bill I kind of want to mention for this group is House Bill 25-1291. It's titled Transportation Network Company Consumer Protection. This bill has gone through the House and is currently waiting first reading in the Senate Committee, Senate's Business, Labor, and Technology. But this bill primarily focuses, or not primarily, but it focuses on rideshare companies and some requirements that rideshare companies have to implement with the drivers who contract those. I'm not touching the budget quite yet. I kind of wanted to stop and see if there's any questions on those bills right now before I dive into budget. So that's going to be a much larger discussion. Okay, I'm not seeing anybody speaking or online, so I'll go ahead and go and talk about the budget. So the budget, the state this year is complicated, probably an understatement. The Joint Budget Committee took a week longer than anticipated to introduce a budget, but it was finally introduced on March 31, a couple weeks ago. And that process needed to happen first because any bill that had a state fiscal note or any kind of impact to the state budget was stuck in the appropriations committee in each chamber. Until the budget gets passed, there's not a whole lot to meet on the appropriations side. But in terms of what the Joint Budget Committee was facing this year, they were facing about a $1.2 billion shortfall that they had to make up. Colorado law does require states to adopt a balanced budget, as opposed to state and federal government, which does not have that same requirement. But it is in final steps for adoption this week. The biggest, there's about 6 orbital bills, what they call. And so while they aren't specific, they aren't the long bill, state budget bill, which is Bill 206. There are what's called orbital bills, which kind of ride along with the budget. And the one that I want to call the biggest attention to is Senate Bill 25-264. This swept about $171 million from existing state funds back into the general fund. Of that, roughly $171 million, 71, just shy of $72 million, came from what's called make sure I got this title right, Multimodal Transportation and Mitigations Options Fund. You might hear it commonly referred to as MMOF. It has $71 million fund balance in it. This was not one that the Colorado Department of Transportation had identified as a potential budget savings, for better terms. And so this one was a surprise to CDOT when it came into the final budget package a couple weeks ago. CDOT is expecting about $100 million loss since the 10-year project plan list, we split between this year and next year. But that $71 million for the MMOF fund is one that I know a lot of providers are looking at. Pikes Peak Area Council of Government was in the midst of a call for projects for MMOF funds. We don't know yet, or we have not got clarity from CDOT on whether those funds that we were getting ready to distribute are actually still there or not. CDOT has not provided an answer yet. I don't know when we can expect that answer. And I'll be open to anyone who's online who's heard differently because we're struggling to get that answer from CDOT. So I'm going to pause on that before I start looking at future budget years. I don't know if I have a whole lot of answers on MMOF specifically though. Okay, seeing no one jumping up. And then because of a $1.2 billion budget shortfall this year wasn't gloomy enough, I did kind of want to look to future years. The state has a structural budget issue. And unless that is addressed, I think we can expect another massive budget cut next year. I mentioned 2 quotes in the packet that I kind of want to bring up just to kind of share kind of what the state is looking at. The first one I'm going to say is from Senator Jeff Bridges. He's the chair of the budget committee. He's from Littleton. Quote, the cuts we make this year likely aren't coming back unless there is a change to the structural rationing that we have in our budget. The other quote is from Senator Barb Kirkmeyer from Brighton. Quote, next year we're going to start off $630 million basically in the hole. We're going to actually have to go into probably cut programs and cut people. End quote. So I just kind of want to give that as a taste of what's to come. I'll look at MMOF as kind of one where it's already been swept to the tune of $72 million. Whether that comes back at all in the future, I don't know. But it's not looking like a promising budget future for the state, like I said, without some structural changes to the budget scenario. So with that rosy picture, happy to answer any questions.
And this goes back to I think it was the PAC last week, where they mentioned that CDOT's looking at the MMOF funds, so approved contracts still could be pulled. Worst case scenario, 71 million, whatever everybody has is pulled. Best case scenario, they let it continue. Maybe there's some middle ground. So just so it's not that bleak, there's still hope out there.
There is a hope. And like you said, like there's the 2 extremes and everything in the middle. Hopefully it's the extreme where everything that was already in the process goes through the process. And we can do that. We just don't know what's in that $72 million pot. So
we're all waiting patiently.
We're all waiting patiently. That is right.
Thank you, man.
Yep. All right. I will go ahead and step back, and Mr. Chair, and let's start hand back over to you guys.
Chair Spots, thanks, Jared. I do feel like I wanted to mention that our Executive Director, Andrew Gunning, has worked to set up a meeting with Representative Jeff Crank to talk about some issues that our organization is facing, which also means other organizations in our region through the jurisdictions as well as other entities that we contract with. So I am applauding our director, Andrew Gunning, for doing that and looking forward to him sharing good information and educating one of our elected officials here in our region.
Does anybody have any more information they would like to share?
I will wait a few seconds, but then I do have a few things to share too, but hopefully we might get an update from other regions that are in the room and on the call. Well, with that, I will just share, not necessarily on a transit update, but from a caregiver perspective, we have quite a few things happening around caregiver support. And as folks are out providing transit services in the community, you may come across people who are caregivers. And so I wanted to get these resources in front of you all to kind of keep in mind through the month of May and June. So first, I guess I will thank Lisa for reminding us that today is Earth Day. So yay. And then on top of that, May is Older Americans Month. And PBS, Rocky Mountain PBS, is hosting through the whole entire month of March shows on their Aging Allies program. And so for people who have access to Rocky Mountain PBS, there are just a ton of different programs happening talking about aging well and aging in America. So kind of mark your calendars, share with people that there's resources out there on Rocky Mountain PBS for the whole month of May. And then on top of that, in June, the Pikes Peak Area Agency on Aging, along with numerous others in the Pikes Peak region, is hosting Caregiver Pampering Day. So for those of you who know caregivers and they can make it to Colorado Springs because that's where we have it on June 7th, I think it is. Yeah, June 7th. we're hosting the Caregiver Pampering Day. We do that every year. We've been doing it for years. So pass that on to your caregivers as well. And there is a brand new, just published electronic calendar, also print calendar, that is co-hosted by Care Patrol and the Pikes Peak Area Agency on Aging, that is working to list all the activities and programs in the region for caregivers. So it is literally just focusing for caregivers. This is not a calendar that's, posting networking events or anything like that. It really is just posting resources and workshops for caregivers. That can be found right now on Care Patrol's website, possibly on PPACG, but honestly, I don't know if we've got that set up yet. So stay tuned for that. And so Maze will be coming out shortly. And then the last thing I wanted to mention, in Teller County, this Saturday is the Golden Bridge, kind of senior expo in Woodland Park. So for folks up in Teller County, most of the folks probably already know and have passed it on to their older adults and family members, but we will be having the Golden Bridge Network event happening on Saturday. Those are my updates. Thank you.
Melissa, can you tell me the time for the Caregiver Pampering Day on June 7th?
I can send out a flyer to everybody today too about it. And then Paul, the time on it is, I think, 9 to 1 maybe. I'm looking at the flyer. 8:30 to 1:30.
Thank you, Melissa. Anything else from anybody? Alrighty then, I guess we'll move on to the next item, and then that's the item for the next meeting on May 27th at 9:30. Do you have any items for that?
Chair Spots, what we are tracking is the conversation around transitioning the Mobility Coordinating Committee to a kind of working group structure. So that will come on the agenda in May.
Thank you, Melissa. All right, thank you, everybody. I guess we can adjourn this meeting. 9:58. Appreciate everybody coming out.